Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're well. This video is one aimed at my fellow taxi drivers, and I wondered if you could give me a little bit of assistance. I'll tell you the story. In my local area, like any other, we obviously have a local council who acts as our licensing authority, and we have to get our vehicles relicensed, get ourselves relicensed through this council over a period of time. It's usually every 3 years for a personal license and annually for the cars. Well, one thing they've never been overly fussed about is the age of the cars. I found out the other day that there's actually a taxi driving around my local area that's 25 years old. This is a situation that's been allowed to go on for a very long amount of time, unchecked. The other thing you get as well, you get local companies buying, well, second-hand toot really off of places like eBay and Gumtree, getting them to a reasonable standard, getting them licensed and then renting them out. But all of those cars have a shared problem. They're all old. Well, before COVID, am I allowed to say that word, by the way? We had a issue where the council wanted to introduce a new policy. And one of the things that they wanted to do was to enforce a minimum age limit on the vehicles. And when we read it and when we tried to look at what was going on, we could see that the impact of this age policy would have a disastrous effect on the private hire industry within our local area, to the point it could shut us all down. So naturally, we kicked off, we kicked up stink and did everything we could to try and put a stop to it. Obviously, fate had other ideas, and we were all locked up in our homes for the better part of a couple of years and not being able to function. So it was put on the back burner. Well, this year, we have had a situation where our local council have decided to reinvigorate this new policy and try and bring it up again. And they're looking at making it valid from the 1st of January. And one of the things that they're talking about within that policy is the fact that they want the vehicles to be of a certain age limit. And the vehicles that are on at the moment, they're giving a transition period. So you're all right for so long, and then you've got to fall in line like everybody else has. Now, there's a few big concerns, namely minibuses, because when you get to newer minibuses, they're quite pricey to not only purchase, but to also run as well. And also the availability of funding for guys who want to buy new cars to carry on. One of the problems we have in this area is the fares aren't what they really should be compared with other areas. I remember a few years ago, I'd get people from London come down here. I'd say £4.20, say, for a fare, and they'd go, "Is that it?" And that would really give you some idea of, you know, the difference. But when you add all these things together, it really is a disaster waiting to happen. They've had a meeting at the council where they've discussed it and gone through all of the bits and pieces and said what they're changing as a result of the consultation they put out to everybody. And having read the comments, we all had similar concerns: the age of the vehicles. There's a meeting on the 18th, which is what they call the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, where people will have the opportunity to speak. I'm going to try and speak, and I've already worked out what I want to say. I'll keep that under my lid for the time being. And really, it's a case of, I suppose, hearing objections. There'll be a council meeting in December, and then they hope to get this new policy in line and online by the 1st of January. So they really want to move it ahead quite rapidly. And this will, as I said, have a very large impact on the provision of service in our local area. Now, my question to other taxi drivers that are listening to this: do you operate in an area where this has happened? If you do, what happened? Did the policy stay? Did it stick? Were there other conditions that had to be put in afterwards? Did the council realise it wasn't going to work and scrap it? Did they alter the age limits? What did they do? I'm very interested in collating as much information as possible on this situation, because all of this, it will affect what's going on down here. I've got 2 councils that I know of which in the last 2 to 3 years, they just had to forget the whole thing because it was obvious it wasn't working. Again, because of naturally occurring conditions that have been in place for years, which is exactly the situation we've got down here. And I'm speaking to you from the point of view, I've been doing the job nearly 15 years. So I like to think I know what I'm talking about, you know, and I built my business up from nothing. And when you have, you know, other operators such as myself with similar problems, it's going to be quite an impact. I think the oldest vehicle I have, or the driver with the oldest vehicle, was a 2009 plate. So you can see what the issue is. Anyway, I'd appreciate your feedback, especially if you are a taxi driver. Let me know what you think in the comments as always. Share my stuff, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.